Hey there, so this is a fake playtest video. We're gonna watch spacesauce's video here. I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. Um, I did actually watch the first like 2.5 minutes already before I started this, but I didn't see anything else after that, so I'm just gonna restart it here. Oh, I noticed there's I didn't notice this when I was watching before, but the circle around the feed, I guess that's showing the effect of the sound, like how far that reaches. I think that's what you're doing there, which is interesting. Um, Yeah, the sound effect for the footsteps, especially on the when you're inside of that elevator, are a little bit loud, especially for something that's supposed to be a stealth game. It does make sense to make them fairly audible if you want the player to be thinking about them, I guess. But yeah, it's just something that stood out to me. In this here, I noticed that it's a little hard to tell like what is being highlighted. Like I hear the ticking sound, and then like sometimes one of these flashes, and then sometimes like none of them do. And I'm gonna go back a bit here. Yeah, so I don't know what's happening here. I'm assuming that they're using a mouse input. Probably, I'm not sure, but like you see that this one is like lit, and then this one isn't, and then like this one lights up for a second, and then like, and now like neither of them are lit. Like I don't really know what's happening there with the selection. But he did look at the screen briefly, I think. All right, this is just empty, I guess. So that's why I didn't look at that any closer. He doesn't really look around in here. Looks like there's another computer. I don't know what that room is supposed to be. Presumably the crouch walking is the quiet way to move. Now when he jumps... Okay, so obviously all the sounds are work in progress. When he lands, like there's a little bit of a sound. It's not very... doesn't sound like it's very loud. It's a bit hard to notice the circle. It grows like really big really fast. Like it grows so big so fast that you don't actually see it moving. It almost looks like it disappears or something, like unless you're actually looking for it. So I wonder if you might want to have some of that kind of visual to get across that motion of like suddenly he made a really loud noise by jumping. Because like I said, otherwise it kind of tricks the eye. Like you don't really see that happening when it's supposed to be giving you that kind of feedback. And you know, on top of that, with the sound design, you can make that a little bit more impactful, obviously. I do like the sound of this thing. So I saw this. This was right before I restarted this whole thing. Obviously, the camera clipping is not ideal, but that looks like he should have made that. Like it looks like he ran like right to the edge of that and then jumped. And so I'm not sure why he didn't make that. I don't know if like you're supposed to hold jump or something. It doesn't seem like that kind of game, right? Where you'd hold jump to jump higher or farther. The other reason might be he didn't build up enough speed. Like I don't know how long it takes for you to hit your maximum speed when you start running. But I would expect, especially because he was right on the edge when he jumped here, that this would reach. So my first thought when I saw this the first time was that it was kind of a level design thing because you want to be careful not to design like a place in your level where you're supposed to intentionally jump, or you intend the player to jump across this place, and that's like um, the normal standard way to go. It's not like a secret or anything like that. You don't want to design things like this so that you have to do like a pixel perfect jump or something to get there. You know what I mean? Where it's like it's right at the maximum extent of your jump, because then because it's like right on the edge of what's actually physically possible for you to do. The player kind of can have a little bit of trouble like identifying like am I supposed to jump here or not? It's like the level design isn't communicating to the player what the designer's intent is or whatever. So that was kind of my first thought when I saw this, because I was like, oh, did he put that so it's like right at the extent of the jump, and then it would be nice to maybe move that platform in a little further or a little closer so that not only is the jump a little less frustrating, but it also kind of communicates better to the player, like this is where you're supposed to go and that kind of thing. Like this is the way forward. Um, but now watching it on the second time, I also see that it actually looks like he jumped right at the end, like right at the end of the ledge there. So I think I'm guessing it's the acceleration on the running, because I believe when he tries it the second time, he has like a little bit more of a running start, or his running start is a little bit longer than the first time. So I'm just guessing that that's the thing that made the difference. Um, so it might be some combination of both those things, or maybe you might want to tweak the level design, and maybe you might want to tweak the acceleration on the jump, or on the running. Sorry, like how long it takes to hit your max speed. Maybe a little bit of both. Okay, so I didn't see anything after that point, so this is all new at this point. So you get a suppressor. As far as tutorialization goes, that would be a good time to like indicate to the player how to use whatever they just picked up. I guess it might have something to do with going back to the computer. That mentions something about that, I think, but health extension, okay. Yeah, it's just good to put tutorial elements like in context, so like when you pick up something new, that's when you should tell them about the new thing and like how to use it and everything. So and what are the oh, something popped up there. I wonder if I can freeze frame what that was. Oh, it's gonna be slow. Oh, I got it, okay. So I guess this kind of popped up after you stand on it for a moment, which spacesauce didn't take the time to do that, I guess. Scans for enemies and highlights their outlines for a short amount of time. Once the ability is purchased at a checkpoint, it can be activated with Q or D-pad down. Has a 30-second cooldown. Okay. So the concept of like picking up stuff in the level, but like you don't actually get it and you have to like go back to a checkpoint to then buy it is a little bit unorthodox. It seems a little bit maybe not the most intuitive, especially because it's like there's more than one here right next to each other, so I don't really understand what you're getting. Like what is picking up two of these get you if you're not actually getting anything until you go and buy this? I don't quite understand what the idea is there. It all feels a little weird. Usually when you pick up something in the middle of the floor or whatever, and then that would kind of indicate that you have that thing now, you know what I mean? So it's not really clear to me what that is. I guess if you want it to be like the things that you find unlock something inside of the checkpoint store or whatever, then I guess you'd have to try to find a way to communicate that what you're picking up is something that would do that. So, for example, I think something that some games do is they would have it be like a certain kind of media, like it could be a disc or something. You know what I mean? It's like kind of communicates the idea that okay, you're picking up something, but instead of it being the thing, it's like you're picking up a disc that has data on it, which if you plug it into a computer, that can then like tell the computer how to give you this ability or something like that. I think you understand what I mean, but something like that would, I guess, communicate better what you're trying to do, if I'm interpreting it correctly at all here. Camera seems to be just right at the right height to not hit the walls going through those doorways. Right, there's another one of these. The most useful weapon, you can throw the knife or use it to backstab enemies. Yeah, so I mean, you can see that the player is not waiting for this to pop up. I don't know if he even realizes that this pop-up is going to happen. So you might want to consider just having the pop-up happen like immediately instead of waiting for the player to stand on the thing for, half a second or whatever you're doing. So you do presumably you have a knife now, and this isn't like something you have to go and buy the knife, right? Because it's not really clear to me what the what you're trying to describe with the stuff you're picking up and the stuff at the like the abilities you're supposed to buy at the checkpoint. Like I can understand maybe the knife isn't an ability, but it looks like the same thing on the ground, so I don't really know what's going on with that. On the bottom left, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4 checkpoint. Okay, stone ability. Okay, so here's the enemy scanner and the thermal vision. Those are the things that I was talking about, I guess, that it seemed to pick up. But it doesn't show like the knife on here either, even though you picked that up the same way, right? Like it looked exact the same, I think. You also picked up some, I think it was HP or health increase, which I don't know if that was just an instantaneous increase or whatever. Because again, it was kind of like the same sort of thing where you're just picking it up off the ground. So I don't know how all these things um, are defined relative to each other, like how they functionally work. Say, oh, it's all just sort of the same thing. You just walk over them and pick them up. It seems like everything's a little different. Looks like he had no points. Alright, so he's got weapons. I don't know. I'm assuming there's like an inventory button or something that he hasn't tried pressing yet. I know you said 1 and 2 is to change weapons. I'm kind of guessing that the bottom left is supposed to show like whatever's equipped on like the 1, 2, 3, and 4 keys. But it doesn't show anything at the moment. I'm not sure if that's something else or if it's just not implemented yet. Oh. Oh. Okay, so did the camera get stuck on the wall or something? Like something got stuck on the wall the first time you did that? That's kind of my guess. I don't know how that's supposed to work exactly. But he got the inventory open, so we've got the balaclava. It's like a suppressor. I don't know what the third thing is. It looks like all these boxes we've been picking up. Then the night vision, the knife, and the pistol. Oh, and I guess you have to manually assign them to the 1, 2, 3, and 4 keys. Is that right? Although the tutorial before said to just press 1 and 2. Like, it didn't say anything about actually equipping the things first. Okay, yeah. So, obviously I'm not playing. One thing I'm curious about, you have this these arranged in this configuration. It kind of makes me think of like the arrow keys where you have up, down, left, and right. So I wonder if I'm trying to think about like alternative control methods. I guess you wouldn't want to use the arrow keys themselves because you'd have to take your hand off the mouse, or you'd have to like reach your left hand all the way across the other side of the keyboard. I wouldn't want to do that personally. Um, but I guess I could imagine something like holding down a modifier key and using like WASD and to select one of these four instead of just using the number keys. But um, on the other hand, 1, 2, 3, and 4 isn't that hard to do. But I wouldn't. I think I wouldn't choose to orient them this way in this diamond shape if you're only going to use the 1, 2, 3, and 4 keys on the keyboard. Just because it's like I think there's a benefit to having this visual, how this is laid out spatially to match the actual keys on the keyboard. So if you just have them, in a horizontal row, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that'll kind of match up to the keys. And uh, I think that helps the player to kind of spatially understand them rather than like looking down here and being like, okay, this is 3, and then thinking about what the 3 key is on the keyboard to reach for it. It's like a little bit more mental effort than it would be if you just kind of like lay it out in the same way that the keys are laid out. Just makes it slightly more intuitive that way. But yeah, I mean, if you had something like doing an alternative control method, I don't think it would necessarily work better to use arrow keys or WASD like I was talking about before. I'm just kind of thinking out loud with that, brainstorming. But yeah, I think I would probably go with just laying these out horizontally and sticking to the 1, 2, 3, and 4. That would probably be a safe bet. So before I went off on that tangent, I guess we do have to equip these. One other thing I was thinking of was it might make sense to. Hmm, I'm thinking like if you have empty slots in your hotbar and you pick up another item, maybe just like automatically slot it in there. That might be a nice, tiny little quality of life detail. So when the player first picks up, the first weapon, it just kind of automatically is there for them, and they can start using it right away. And then same with like the second weapon, and then obviously they're going to fill up all four of these pretty quickly, and then you can start going, okay, now it's time. You should go into your inventory and start doing inventory things, and you can kind of separate the tutorial elements out so that you don't necessarily have to teach how to go into the inventory and equip things before they can do anything else. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, he's got the gun out and the baklava. Do we have any cover mechanics? Is that a thing? Other than obviously crouching behind it, that seems to work.
I heard something.
Oh, all right. Not the most elegant approach there. So we go back to wherever this one is. Okay, I know where we are. Wait, why is there so many doors right here? 2 red doors and a black door. Kind of a lot of doors. I mean, if there's no map or anything to kind of show where you are, which might be actually a good idea, I would like to see a mini map, honestly. Which also can be very helpful for tracking enemies and stuff like Metal Gear Solid style. I like that kind of thing. But just in general, if you want to make a game that doesn't have a map, then you're kind of restricted in how complex you can make just the layout of everything. And in particular, like how non-linear you make things. Because if the progression in the level is always going to be kind of linear, where there's always kind of a forwards and backwards, then you don't have to worry about a map so much. Because you can't really get lost. There's only like places you've been to and places you haven't, more or less. But as soon as you start making nonlinear levels and stuff like this, it's like you pretty much have to make a map at that point. But yeah, it just stands out to me. Whoa, what on earth? It just stands out to me that I noticed we go back to this checkpoint and there's like I think that one, the one that's not on screen right now is like the door we came from, and then it's like there's 3 different doors and it's kind of a lot of choices. I don't know what's in those doors, if any of those are dead ends or whatever, but there can be such thing as too many choices for different ways to go. All right, so a little bit odd to have the iron sights and the laser sight going at the same time. Like you're not really using both. Like in real life, you wouldn't really be using both simultaneously, you know? I don't think so. It's a little weird to have that. Seems like it's more distracting than anything to me. Unless there's some kind of other, like, alternative way to aim that uses the laser more. What was that? I guess he missed the head. There it goes. So I want to see, like... What was that? I'm looking at the circle, the noise circle when he shoots. What was that? I feel like that should be, like, really big, right? So I'd like to know, is there a maximum, like a set maximum for the circle? Because I feel like it may be... Wait. Okay, it looks like the circle's a little bit bigger when he shoots compared to when he's running, but I feel like it should be like a lot more of a disparity there, you know what I mean? It does make sense to have the sound not reach crazy distances, because stealth games don't really work if you have like a realistic... If the enemies have like a realistic ability to hear you and see you from faraway distances and stuff, it kind of tends to break the whole idea of it being a game, because it's like, you know, it's very extremely punishing, and you know, enemies that you never even knew were there would be like hearing you and running after you and setting off alarms and everything like that. So I certainly appreciate not making the quote unquote loudness circle be enormous, but I do feel like it could be a lot bigger when you're specifically shooting weapons. I wonder how the loudness interacts with walls. Like if someone's on the other side of a wall and it's like completely enclosed, would like the circle reach them? Like I don't know how that works, or is there like a line of sight check? Should mean like if you're shooting, like if you shoot someone right here, but there's someone just standing around the corner, like right here, like they wouldn't be in line of sight. So I wonder, like, would they still hear it? I don't really know the answers to these questions, but those are things I would wonder about. What is it? Okay. Oh, you didn't even try to run through them. Maybe they work. Well, I guess you're supposed to pay or something to go through those. I didn't read what that said. Press tab to open the inventory. You can use items in the inventory by right clicking them. Add items to the hotbar for easy switching. Okay, so it feels like you told that a little bit late because he already had to face the enemy. So I kind of had to figure that out already just to equip the weapons he'd already picked out. Are we gonna stealth? Use the knife. Or not. Wait, what? Is he seeing? Okay, so that guy's a little bit far away. You know what I was talking about just a minute ago in terms of the distance. Um, so he says, I heard something. I'm kind of guessing that since he's so far out of the circle that I've been assuming is supposed to represent the sound all this time, that um, he actually might have seen the player, and he just the voice line just happens to be that he heard something, you know, even though it wasn't actually the fact that he heard it, that he saw it was actually that he saw. That makes sense. That's kind of what my guess is. If it's not that, then it could mean that the actual distance of hearing is not being represented by the circle, and the circle is just like a suggestion of how much noise you're making and not actually like drawing the distance that the noise reaches, which could, I guess that could be true. Not really what I would expect from that kind of visual, but probably one or the other. But yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know if you're thinking about like, oh, wouldn't it be cute if we just kind of made a part where the player was most likely going to accidentally get seen, and then they could see what the game is like when they have to fight the enemy AI when they're on alert or something. But it kind of feels like this is not really designed in a way that, I mean, he could have sidled up to this corner and been more cautious trying to peek around before he just ran out here, but yeah, it almost seems like the level is designed so that this is almost like a little bit of a trap where that enemy is definitely going to notice that you went in here. Picks up the thing and takes off. Okay, I guess that's an option too. All right, so you can see this exclamation mark to the right through the wall, which he's kind of ignoring, but I guess that's indicating where the alerted guard is. I do wonder if there's some kind of like an alert status, like, you know, usually in stealth games, if you alert somebody, they tend to alert other people, you know, and then there's sort of like an elevated state for the NPCs for a certain amount of time or whatever. Like obviously Metal Gear Solid does that in a very clearly defined way. But if there are like different sort of states of alert or whatever, that would be something you'd want to like indicate somehow to the player. Presumably the guards will eventually, you know, relax and then they'll go back to a less alert state. So that would be something you'd want to communicate to the player. Like if they're like, oh crap, I just alerted a guard and I have to go and run. They still want to kind of figure out when it is that the guard kind of relaxes again or whatever, so that they can continue on playing. I didn't understand what that was. I saw a guy running, but that, like, before he's like, oh, I heard a noise, and then it's like, yeah, that sounded like a bunch of gibberish. I have no idea what that voice line was trying to say. Um, yeah, you might want to figure out what you want to do for communicating to the player these states of alert and stuff, whether or not it's just the individual guards or if there's a you know, a state for all of the guards at the same time. Either way, you know, you want to have ways to communicate that to the player. Obviously, the voice lines are doing some work, but I feel like you could do another thing on top of that that would help a lot. You could do things with music, obviously, or other sound effects. And you definitely want to have the when you go into like a state of high alert, that's something you want to indicate, and also when it goes back into the non-alerted state, like I said before. Yeah, okay. So it seems like because he's not making any noise, and they keep saying, "Oh, I heard something. What was that?" Um, so it seems like the "I heard something" voice lines are also attached to the event of them seeing you. So I guess you just don't have the voice lines for "I saw something" yet. I like how you can hear the guy running around behind him. So yeah, it's definitely good to have like the louder footstep sounds for the enemies because that kind of gives you more information. They are pretty loud. I hear movement. I have no idea what it is. It just sounds kind of weird. I have no idea what that sounded like. Like obviously, if they're just walking, you hear what is clearly just walking footsteps. But then that guy is like, I don't know if he's colliding with some physics geometry or something. It's just making these weird ruffling sounds. Like I'm receiving information, but what the information is telling me is not clear, so it's just confusing. Okay, so we were here before. Yeah, so now we're getting back to the non-linearity of everything. So this is gotten quite confusing. Like once you realize you just went in a circle, then it's like at that point it's like where do I go from here? That's a big question mark when you don't have any kind of map or anything to guide you towards anything. Also, as I say that, I guess you were never really given any particular objective at the beginning, like that you were supposed to accomplish. Like obviously, as a video game, we know we're supposed to move through the level, but once you get to this point where it's like, okay, I just went in a circle, and it's like, now what? Then it's like, not only do I not know where to go, but now it's like when I think about it, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing in this world. Like, what is my ultimate objective here? Am I supposed to, find something, or am I supposed to find someone? Um, am I supposed to kill someone? Am I supposed to reach a certain computer or just go to a certain room, or it could be any number of things that people could make for objectives in a game. So that's something you definitely want to think about giving to the player right off the bat when they start the level, like, okay, this is what your ultimate objective is, and then they can go about figuring out you know what is it going to take to get to that point. But people need some kind of an objective to go off of. So as I noted before, when you go back to the checkpoint, it resets all the guards. So where he's kind of going backwards now, I believe. Oh, there's all these doors again. I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't know where these doors go, but I guess he's going to re-encounter the guards he'd already knocked down because the checkpoint respawns them. It's kind of a weird concept. I'm not sure, like, I feel like the game isn't, the objectives of the game. Oh, is he throwing? What is he throwing? Is that the knife? I guess he threw the knife. The objectives of the game aren't, like, defined enough at this point for me to feel like I know whether to think of the enemies respawning as, like, a good idea or not. Like, there must be some idea or something that you noticed that spawned that thought to have the enemies respawn. But yeah, for me watching this, it's like I don't really know why you'd necessarily want to do it that way versus just letting the dead enemy stay dead. If there was, I don't know, because it's like going to a checkpoint is something that you do electively. Like if I knew I was going back, if I had to go backwards in a level for any reason, I don't know what, you know, at this point I don't know what that reason would be. Um, but if that's what I wanted to do, I could just choose not to go to the checkpoint. Like just because I saw a checkpoint, I don't have to go and activate it, right? And then I could be like, okay, well, if I don't activate it, then the enemies that I already killed will stay dead. And then I could just go back without encountering the enemies, right? So it's kind of like if I can do that, then what's the point of me using the checkpoint respawning the enemies in the first place? Like it's kind of weird. Obviously, it's like I benefit from using the checkpoint, but I don't know if that's supposed to be like a punishment or something. Like you can use the checkpoint if you want, but it comes with this downside. I don't know if that's the idea of it. It just seems kind of awkward. You know what I mean? To do it that way. So yeah, at this point, I don't really see what the point of respawning the enemies would be. I guess. Okay, let me think about this. So I guess if you went ahead and you like killed an enemy or something, and then you were like, oh no, I'm in trouble, and you ran back to a checkpoint. Um, I don't know if the checkpoint is gonna like recharge your health or anything like that. Like if it did something like that, then I could see how it would be exploitable, possibly, because you could just keep going back and forth. Like you could go and like kill an enemy and then run back to the checkpoint and recharge your health, and then go and kill like another enemy and then run back again. Uh, that would be sort of exploitable. So I don't know if maybe that was the idea, but I didn't have any idea of whether or not the checkpoint was actually doing that, like recharging health or anything like that. I do notice at the moment he's at full health, and I remember he took a little damage at one point. So something must have recharged his health, but I didn't perceive that the checkpoints were doing anything like that. That's just an empty void. Is he gonna fall down? Okay, we're way back here now. I don't know why he's still going this way. Like it's obviously going backwards. I mean, he's about. Oh, there's another health thing over there. Probably get confused about where to go, but I don't know why. I don't know if he didn't notice that he was going backwards. What is over there? Oh, there's all sorts of stuff over there. See, the levels seem extremely non-linear. There's a lot of different places you could go that aren't just going forwards. It looks like. Is that a person? Oh my gosh. What on earth? Good thing he had that thermal going. Because that guy, oh, there's another guy. Oh my gosh, those are really kind of mean places to hide the guards. Like I said, it's lucky that he noticed with the thermal on. So, on the one hand, I feel like bouncing the carts around should make a lot of noise. Oh my gosh, how many guys are there? What on earth is this room? What were you trying to do to these players? But yeah, I don't know if physics objects like that should make much noise, because on the one hand, it's like really obviously it's intuitive that they would. On the other hand, it's easy for them to kind of spaz out and do unpredictable things, so I don't know if that contributes poorly to the experience. You know, if that ends up being really noisy. Oh my gosh, there's so many guards in here. Sorry for the phone noises. What are you hiding over here with the, some kind of fancy gun or something? Okay, I picked up a, yeah, it looks like an Uzi or whatever. Oh, did he just shoot through the wall? He's shooting through the wall. No, you gotta do line of sight check at the very least. Or he's, I mean, the gun was probably clipping into the wall, but, obviously you don't want enemies shooting through the wall like that. I mean, they shouldn't even be trying to shoot through the wall. They should be smart enough to know that that's not a valid way to shoot. Whoa, what the heck? Oh no, okay. Oh, flashlight, nice. Although he has thermal visor, so I guess he won't necessarily need that as long as he has the thermal. Thank you for playing. So did he? I guess this is like the end, but like, am I wrong that he was going backwards for a lot of this? Like he went all the way back to, like, this is like right in the beginning, and then he went over here, and then like that, the end of the game is in there. Like, why is that? Why is that the case? I don't remember this being like a new door that opened up or anything. Like that wasn't. There's not any kind of mechanics like that where you find something and it unlocks some other door somewhere, is there? I didn't see anything like that happening. So like I'm surprised he managed to find, like, if that is, that looks like it's the end of the game, so I'm like surprised he found his way there. Because it's like he was kind of going around and like, I guess it looked to me like he didn't know where to go next. So he just kind of started running wherever, and then it was like, okay, he's running backwards, and then like all of a sudden, okay, he found this other room on the side, and then like all of a sudden the end is there, and I'm like really kind of confused about all that. But I guess luckily for him, he managed to find his way to the end. So yeah, definitely confusing layout. Um, and I already said it, but if you're gonna make a kind of a sprawling layout, and particularly if it's very non-linear, then it sort of necessitates the having some kind of a map, and providing the player with some kind of, not only a way to orient themselves with that, but also like where are they supposed to go? Like I can go here and I can go there, but I need like an objective somewhere to say, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be or get to. Um, yeah, okay, this is interesting. It feels like with the current map, we didn't get a lot of sort of stealth mechanics, what I would call stealth mechanics, and like we obviously have some kind of an alert state with the guards, and then you can kill the guards before they go into that state. You have some kind of a sound range effect going on here, I guess. uh, Usually, stealth games have some other mechanics for like manipulating guards and things like that, or I guess there was some kind of patrol routes going on at some point, but it was never the kind of thing where you would like stop and study their route. I don't think, like, it didn't seem like that was ever presented as something you would do here, because that's another thing that a lot of games do. It's like, okay, study their routes and then figure out how you can sneak through them. Um, Whereas here, it seems like at least at this point, you can just kind of shoot them in the head or whatever, but then continue on. Uh, so yeah, I'm interested to see obviously where else things go with this. I think feels like the last times that I had tried the game in earlier states, which was quite a while ago now, but it seems like we had some different sorts of gameplay represented in those versions. I'm trying to think because it seemed like there's some things that were like in there that aren't in this demo. So I don't know if those are things that were just tossed out or if they're stuff that just wasn't made part of this particular level. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I'm just kind of wondering what you guys are gonna settle on, I suppose, for like the type of gameplay you're gonna build here. But yeah, so far we have some guards and we have a little bit of sneaking, and then you can kill the guards. But I guess I'm kind of like looking for a little bit more from mechanics on top of that kind of stuff. So in any case, hopefully you got something out of watching this. And I know I couldn't I couldn't play it properly, but yeah, hopefully it was useful somehow. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next video.